Folks, welcome to the Crush the Quo. Crush the Quo is on a mission to fuel the change needed to create growth and elevate performance through transforming mindsets, habits, and actions. So welcome to the cause. In today's session, we are going to be talking about books as a business. In an era when it has become increasingly difficult to differentiate ourselves from competition, books are a more valuable tool for enhancing credibility than ever before. But writing books, publishing books is not as hard as you think. And so with us today, we have Matt Harms. Now, Matt is, whether it is an author, coach, collaborative writer, or true ghostwriter, Matt has developed a proven track record for easily extracting a lifetime of knowledge from his clients' heads and getting it on paper in a compelling way, while also retaining the speaker's unique voice or the author's unique voice. And so the combination of his selling background and finance and podcasting experience has guided his way of doing things and how he approaches his clients and putting his clients at ease and gets them talking about what they know best. We're going to have Matt talking a little bit about that today. So with that, I am now going to hand over to Matt.
Catherine, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I think one of the beautiful things about what Catherine is doing here with Crush the Quo and her incredible sales enablement experience is when you write a book, everything in life is in some way, shape, or form a sale. You're selling somebody, and the word sale, I'm going to use it loosely, but if you want to decide where to go for dinner, it's a sale between you and the other person. Who's picking the restaurant? Who's going to give in? Who's going to decide? When you're reaching out to other professionals that you want to do business with, you are selling them on your ability to deliver on what it is that they need from you. A book gives you a substantial leg up on someone who doesn't have a book for two main reasons. One, everyone knows there's a lot of time and dedication that goes into writing a book. So if you're able to take a book from beginning to completion, no matter how you got it done, whether it's writing it yourself, whether it's collaborating, having a coach, having someone like myself write it for you, there's still a substantial commitment that proves to somebody that you take what you do seriously. The second thing is it shows that you have something of value to offer, right? You were able to fill the pages on this book with the knowledge that you've acquired through your career, through your life, and you're willing to share it with others, which makes you someone that people want to have on their team. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and jump into my presentation. So if you've thought about writing a book, like some of you said you have, or you haven't, I want to first take you through the 7 reasons you need to write a book. There's probably a lot more. These are the 7 that Pen for Hire has compiled from our over 24 clients we've worked with and what they've told us. So the first is your reach. Depending on what you do, how many clients can you currently help in a day? So if you're a private coach or consultant and you book your calendar, maybe you can help 8 or 12 people in a day. If you're running larger scale meetings, you can possibly help however many people attend. But a book gives you reach to touch more people than you ever could in a day, a week, or a year. The book will help you amplify your message to audiences of scale you never thought possible. Right? Think about in your own life, if you've read a great book, whether it's a business book or a fiction book, and you're talking to somebody else, we naturally promote things that we find value in. So if one person buys your book, they love it, they recommend it to 3 other people, those 3 people recommend it. Next thing you know, you have a bigger audience than you could have imagined contacting you saying, hey, I read your book. I've got a question about something you said on page 3. And we're going to come back to that later, because I think that's an important thing that a lot of authors lose track of. So number 2 is credibility. I started this off by saying you prove that you have something to say, but we live in a world where everything's available online with the click of a button. So if I want to know something about somebody, I can go to their LinkedIn profile. I can find out where they went to school. I can find out the last 10 companies they worked for. I can do a pretty good job of creating a profile for that person of what I think to be the case, just based on the information that's readily available. But when you're a published author, you're able to give your audience more insight into your credibility. You're not just achievements on paper, because If you graduated from Harvard, there's hundreds of thousands of people who graduated from Harvard. What makes you different from some of the other ones? Also, your credibility and your SEO exposure. When you're a published author, your name is appearing in more places. It's appearing now on Amazon, or if you went with a traditional publisher, on their website. Any book review you get done, all of this links back to making you more prominent when someone is searching for an expert in your field that they may be looking to do business with. Number 3 is a door opener. And this is one of my favorite ones. I don't know if any of you have ever heard the expression that books are the new business card, or if that's just a writing industry phrase that we as writers have coined, but nothing could be further from the truth. Before I even go into what's on the slide, I want to tell a quick story of a gentleman I had on my podcast, best-selling author, wrote a book on sales, and used that book to mail ahead to high-value targets that he wanted to call on. One of those happened to be a Fortune 50 company. Because of the book, he was granted the sales call with the high-level decision maker, and for the last 5 years has had a 6-figure-a-year consulting engagement with them off of just writing the book. I don't want to say just, because he did write the book and took the step of sending the book. But that's $500,000 he would not have today if he didn't write the book and send it ahead as a door opener. In the sales world, I'm sure, again, most of you are sales professionals. There are so many ways to try to touch people that don't work, right? I don't know about you. I don't answer my phone. My voicemail actually says, don't leave me a message. Send me a text message. You've got email. You've got networking groups. You've got webinars like this. Once you are done with the call, with the text, with the meeting, what makes you memorable in that person's mind, right? You have a very small window to remain memorable. With a book, no one throws a book out ever. Ask yourself the last time you threw a book out. So if you send your book ahead to a high-value decision maker, they may open it. It may sit on their desk for a month. Maybe it sits on their receptionist's desk. They're not throwing it out. When you call, your name is going to be somewhat in their head. They may not know why, and then it'll click that, wait, that person sent me a book. Your likelihood of getting at least an engagement or a chance to explain what you can do for them has gone up exponentially. That one story I told you, it's kind of the best one I've heard, but it happens all the time with our clients. Number 4 reason you should have a book is for your value add. You already have existing clients, companies who enjoy working with you. They value what you do. But think about all of the things that you have in your head that you may not readily share with each and every client on each and every engagement because it doesn't maybe apply to them in that moment, right? So you're very much in the moment of doing what you do best, focusing on their need. When you have this additional value add, you can give your clients your book. And they're going to learn things about you they may never have had the opportunity to know, not because you didn't want to share it, just because the opportunity never arose. You were focused on all the other things that they needed or that you felt you had to deliver for them. And the book becomes a perfect complement to other products and services that you may be able to help them with, coaching, personalized courses, webinars. Once they know you have these abilities that didn't come up before, you can find that your revenue from your existing customers spikes in addition to just acquiring new clients. Too often we leave money on the table, right? We're always looking for new business and we're neglecting the clients we're currently serving who already like us, trust us, and want to do business with us. So giving them this additional value gives them more reason to want to do that. Number 5 is a brand enhancement, similar to credibility, only it takes into account to more than just yourself. So your book can enhance your entire brand, not just for your clients, but for your team members. Depending on the size of your organization, the C-suite may not have regular interaction with the frontline sales folks. Does that mean they shouldn't know more about you, what you stand for, your values, your experience? No, not at all. And you may not be able to deliver that to each and every one of them. But when you have a book and you give it to them, not as required reading, but hey, you join the company. Hey, here's our founder's book. Here's our CFO's book on their view of finance. It really allows your entire team to get inside your head to a level they probably couldn't otherwise, which will help build a stronger team. It'll help them go out and deliver your message in a stronger and more reliable way. Overall, the result to your brand is much more value. Marketing and publicity. Books are conversation starters. If you've ever heard someone say they wrote a book, your first question was probably, what was it about? And you get them talking. When you meet someone in a networking room or in a webinar, it's a much softer opening to introduce yourself as a published author of name of the book, what it was about, and then you can let them guide the conversation into asking you more about yourself. It's basically reversing the sales process of now they want to know more and you're not selling yourself. They're giving you the opportunity to talk about your book, why you wrote the book, what's in the book. And that will lead to more and more revenue generating conversations down the road. To this point, there are people out there, depending the industry you're in, public relations specialists, social media marketing for authors. We have an extensive network we introduce our clients to just to see who might be a right fit. But the more people that you can get to know you wrote a book, the better your results are going to be, right? It's that old, maybe it's an American saying, but if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, does it make a sound? If you wrote a book and no one knows you wrote it, does it make an impact? No, you've got to let the world know you wrote the book. And then giving back to your audience, right? This is the last one on the 7 reasons you need to write a book. And it's pretty straightforward. People who are already in your world, if you say, hey, I just wrote this book, I thought it might add some value to your life, and you give it to them, it may have cost you $2.50 to print that book, but to them, it could mean the world of difference. It shows that you're thinking about them. And it just, once again, gives them one more reason to want to continue working with you and giving you more business going forward. Now we're going to go into the 7 ways that you can leverage that book specifically. And they're going to tie in with the first 7 items, because this is a really good point where I like to mention to people, a book is a tremendous accomplishment, as we said, but it's also a tremendous investment. And that investment comes in several ways. If you're going to write the book yourself, it's a tremendous time investment. On average, and every writer is going to be different, but I can confidently say a book takes about 300 hours to write. So if you're writing it yourself, do the math on what else you could be doing with that 300 hours other than writing a book. There's a time investment. If you're going to hire a ghostwriter to write your book for you, there's a financial investment. And that financial investment, again, every ghostwriter is different, can range anywhere from $15,000 to $100,000. You can collaborate, which is now a combination of your time and money. So your book, beyond just an accomplishment, it is something that you need to look at as, where am I going to get a return on my investment? If I just spent 300 hours, how is this book going to make me money? If I just spent $50,000, how am I going to make that money back? Same thing you would do if you were taking out a marketing campaign. Same thing you would do if you were hiring a salesperson. You want to know how they're going to help you generate revenue from that. So we spoke about this one, the use of physical copies as a mail ahead to high value prospects. In this part, the reason I'm going to stress it is the low, compared to the cost of a business card, this is a much more expensive marketing technique. But you can print most paperback books, at least here in the US, for less than $5 a copy. Generally, it's about $3 a copy. So you can get a case of books for, let's call a case of books, 100 books, $300, get some nice padded envelopes for those books. That's another $100. Get some postage. That's another $100. Now for a $500 investment on top of whatever you put into doing the book, you can reach out to 100 of your top prospects with a brand new approach that they've probably never seen before. In fact, I can guarantee you any client that we've started working with has never heard of doing this. And again, no one throws a book away. Your book is your business card. It's your chance of being remembered. I'm going to stop here and pause and give my disclaimer that I usually give earlier, but since we just talked about the investment, I want to really hone in on, you need to do this right too, because you're looking to make a great first impression. And what can start as such, when someone opens your package, they get the book and they're like, wow, no one's ever sent me this before. And they open it up to find out that it's not written well. It hasn't been edited. The formatting doesn't look good. The cover design looks like it was done on Fiverr for $5. All of that now works directly against you and your brand credibility. If you're going to use these strategies, definitely make sure you're committed to doing it the right way, just like you would anything else in your business. Second way to leverage your book as a business tool is to drive traffic to your website. So this is a strategy a lot of nonfiction and even fiction authors use, which is either doing a small free ebook, which can be just the first chapter of maybe your larger book. It could be just a smaller piece of thought leadership. But when you give something away for free, people will tend to give you their email address, right? I'm sure all of us in this room in the last week have signed up for something where we gave our email address. If you're targeting your free book to your ideal clients, to your LinkedIn followers, to your existing clients and their clients, they're going to go to your website. They're now going to wind up in your CRM, and you're going to be able to retarget them going forward, not only for business, but for book sales. Because now you can say, hey, that chapter you got, the full book is now available on Amazon. Or you can fulfill the orders yourself if you use a strategy, like I said earlier, of ordering the case of books. So you've already put the work into the book. Don't worry about giving part of it away for free. It's part of the greater good. It's going to get people to also realize that they like what you have to say, because it's a time investment on your reader's standpoint as well. And that's something that we should never forget. Yes, it took you 300 something hours to write it, but it's going to take your reader anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to read it. That is time that's competing with all the other things they could do with those 2 to 4 hours. So give them something to know that they're really going to enjoy and get value out of purchasing that book, or skipping the book and just reaching out to you for a consultation on how you can solve their problems. Actually, let me jump back for a minute, because at the end of the day, why do people buy books? Generally, people buy a book because they have a problem. They want to learn how to solve something or learn how to do something better. You don't buy a diet book if you're not looking to lose weight. You don't buy a do-it-yourself website book if you're not looking to build a website. So if you're writing a sales book, chances are the people who are reading your sales book are looking to get better at selling. And you want them to know that you are the only person that is going to be able to help them solve that problem out of the infinite pool of people they could call. Number 3, this is an interesting one I learned from a client. Your book can include QR codes and links to other places that you have work. I have one client who is an Amazon affiliate. He does a lot of work in the MSP space, which is managed service providers in the IT world. And his Amazon affiliate account, anytime in his book, he makes a recommendation for hardware, software, anything they should be using in their business. He has a QR code to the exact item on Amazon, so that every time someone who reads his book takes one of his recommendations, he gets paid an affiliate fee from Amazon for them going there using his QR code. Is it going to make you rich? Probably not. Is it a nice way to add on a little extra revenue and add value to your clients? Absolutely. Because I'm going to let you in on another secret. People are lazy. So if you tell them what to do in a book, or where to go and how to find something, that's 2, 3, 4 steps for them to lose interest or just get distracted by life and not do it. When you smack something in their face, especially a QR code, if they've got an ebook, they've already got their device in their hands. It is super easy for them to just link right to where you want them to go. And the same goes for websites. In the print book, directing someone to your website, not as easy to do as a QR code, but in an ebook, if you have a number of different websites for different things, your course, your webinar, you can have those links in there and people can easily jump right out of your book and jump right to where you want them to be. Because do you want them to finish your book? Of course. But the real goal is to get them to contact you. Next, one of my favorites, provide seminars and talks based on the content. Prior to COVID, and Catherine, I'd love your opinion on this either now or later, since you do a lot of event organizing. But prior to COVID, having a book was preferred to most organizers here in the States. They like to know that you had a book, that they could do a little research on you before. To get on a TEDx stage, it was pretty much required. Now, after COVID, we saw a sharp increase in our client base. I would say we went from maybe 40% public speakers as clients to 80% of our clients are public speakers or looking to break into the public speaking space, because event organizers have gotten a lot more stringent on who they allow on stage. Part of that, I think, came from limited capacities during COVID and webinars. But the book tells the event organizer, you have something to say. There's less of a risk of putting you on stage and hoping you can fill a 45-minute slot or a 60-minute slot. When you have a book and you've got 175 pages of content, there's no mystery that you're going to be able to get up there and speak. So it definitely gives you a leg up. And also, if you look at all the highest paid speakers in the world, most of them have multiple international best-selling books. Sometimes the speaking came before the book. We're looking at a trend now where the book is definitely coming before the speak. This is another great one I've done myself. So for those in-person events, you can use your book as a swag bag stuffer. So I know a lot of networking events I attend here in New York. At the end of the event, anyone who sponsored the event, there's usually a giveaway bag at the back, and there's one of their products in it. It's either their marketing material, coffee mugs, you name it. It could be anything. I love when I get a book in a swag bag because I probably wouldn't have found that book otherwise. If it is relevant to a problem that I want to solve, I'm much more likely to actually read it and then engage with the author because I got it for free. And it's free marketing. To that same point, if you're doing a speaking event at the back of the room, you can have your book available for sale, or you can work it out with the event organizer to charge more for the tickets because you're going to give everyone in attendance a free signed copy of your book. This is where the marketing brain is as important, if not more important, than actually getting the book written, because you want to be able to maximize that investment into it. Recruit new talent is not one a lot of people think about, but depending on the industry that you're working in, sometimes, I know cybersecurity is one that I've heard is impossible to retain top talent. Well-educated cybersecurity analysts, and I'm just using this as an example, I'm sure there's many other fields, are in such high demand that their average tenure in their position as a CIO or a CISO is 18 months before they're stolen by another company. If you can prove to your talent, the talent that you've worked so hard to source, to hire, to train, and you want to retain them before they jump ship for the next best offer because someone gave them a 10% increase, the book can really give you, going back to that team building that we spoke about and why you should have the book, it's going to give them more insight into who you are as a person, who you are as a professional, what you can possibly do for them and their career going forward. And it allows them a no pressure way of getting comfortable with you rather than having to interview and jump through all the hoops that would normally be required for a job. So, and that's also a landscape we're moving to these days, especially with the rise of AI, is we do have more and more positions that are becoming more positions than there are talent available. There is the flip side of that, where we have a lot of positions that are becoming obsolete, but there's nothing we can do there. If we are recruiting for positions that we can't find talent, your book is a great way to get in front of them. And last, expand your marketing funnel. Books are extremely complementary to webinars, training courses, one-on-one coaching, and I'll tell you why. Much like I said earlier with people are lazy, everyone has the best of intentions when they sign up for something. They genuinely want to solve a problem. So someone may take your $99 Kajabi course because it's a low barrier of entry. They'll probably start maybe with your $14.95 book because it's a low barrier of entry. But what happens? They read your book. They love it. They think you're the smartest person on earth. They connect with you. They want to have a beer with you. And then they put the book down. They go and pick up the kids. Life takes over and they don't do anything about it. Then they realize, oh, you got a course too. I love the book so much. Let me go buy the course. So now they level up and they spend the $99 for your course. Same thing, they love you more. Maybe they put one or two things into action that they didn't before. Life takes over and they come back. They still haven't really solved their problem. I already love their book. I already loved their course. Why wouldn't I reach out to them to see if this is a problem they can help me solve and how they can help me do it? Because now they're going to get to speak to you personally, the person they feel like they know because they've read your book and took your course. So it's just one more way to bring someone into your marketing funnel that you may not have had before. And the reason that's really important is because if you're sitting here thinking, well, Matt, I've already got my webinar, I've got my podcast, why do I need the book too? Everyone learns differently, and everyone finds their content and their solutions differently. So the person who listens to podcasts every day is not the same person who's reading a book every day on their lunch break. And the same person who's reading the book every day on their lunch break isn't the same person who's taking Thinkific and Kajabi courses on the weekends. Some people will do all three, but you want to be able to differentiate yourself and convey your knowledge in the learning style of your ideal client, because not all of your ideal clients are going to learn the same way.
Matt, I'll kick off with a question. I think a lot of people wonder, the old way of doing books as a business is you got the book written. That's a huge accomplishment. And then you had to pre-order printed books, like you had to have 1,000 books in your garage and hope that you got rid of them. So is that still the way it works today?
It is not by any means. In fact, I do an entire other presentation that I'll chunk down to 3 minutes here, just explaining the difference in publishing options. But it used to be what you just described, where you had your 3 to 5 major publishing houses, and if they didn't pick up your book, you were never going to see the light of day. And if they did pick up your book, you had to order that minimum box of books. You couldn't just order them when you wanted them, and it was very restrictive. Now, for the better and the worse, self-publishing, hybrid publishing has opened the doors for the average person to be able to write and publish their own work. So to give you a quick self-publishing scenario, as a writer, I wrote my first 2 books completely by myself. I had someone on my team edit them. I paid for the cover design. I had a graphic designer do the work. I uploaded them to Amazon. I set the price on Amazon. Amazon does not tell me, nope, your book doesn't fit what we're looking for. And I, at will, it's print on demand. I can go in and order anywhere from 1 to 1,000 copies of my book at printing cost on demand. So if I've got a speaking engagement coming up in 2 weeks in the UK, I can order those books and Amazon will drop ship them directly to you for me, Catherine. I can order, have them sent to my house and keep them in my garage if I'm speaking in New York. If I have one of those, whatever it is that you need, you don't need to overorder the 1,000. And the best reason behind that, other than the investment, is you can also continuously update your content under this model. So if you realize after you've published your book, oh my God, I left out chapter 10, like there's so much more I wanted to say, you can have volume 2 of your book printed, revised and printed within a week or 2. Whereas a publisher is going to say, yeah, no, we're not changing this.
Amazing. Timothy has a question.
Yes. When you talk about the step of taking your book and sending it to probably your high value client that you're going after, how soon after you send that book do you follow up? Do you send them an email, or do you give them a phone call, or are you just sending the book hoping they're going to reach out to you after they look through it or read it? So
there is no golden strategy. I will say the only thing that doesn't work is hoping they read it and reach out to you. That almost never, ever happens. But what I tend to find works the best is you send that book, you wait 7 to 10 days, and then you follow up with a phone call. You can do the email after the phone call. A chance you may not get them on the first phone call. And I say 7 to 10 days because if you're using and this could vary by country, but if you're using media mail here in the States, I have seen books take as long as 10 days to actually arrive. I've had clients send me copies of their books signed as thank yous, and it took a while. So I wouldn't rush that call because, again, the book is going to sit there. It's going to be on their desk. They're going to have seen it. They may not have opened it. So you could probably even push that to 2 weeks before you make the call. Then how you handle that call is really the key. That's where the sales skills and the interpersonal skills come in, because you're probably going to get their secretary or their administrative assistant, and you're going to want to let them know that you're calling because you sent them a package about 2 weeks ago and you're just confirming that it was received, right? Because that's your first indication. They may tell you, no, we haven't gotten anything. Then it's like, oh, all right, maybe I send it again. And if you know you can get them on the phone, maybe this time you up it to a priority mail shipment that you can track and you know it's been received. It'll also stand out a little more. I just don't advise that in the general presentation because that gets expensive. But if you know you've got a contact person and you've opened a dialogue, That's now a great way to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry you didn't get that book. Can you please confirm the address? I'm going to send it out priority mail tomorrow. Whose attention should I send it to? Now you have a name and address. And when you call back, you're good friends already, right? If I just had that conversation with Hey, Catherine, it's Matt again. I priority mailed that book out a couple of days ago. Did you guys get it this time? Wait for her to answer and then see if you can get her boss on the phone. Or maybe she is the boss, right? It all depends who you have as that contact. Just make sure that's another part of that is make sure you're speaking to the decision maker.
Thank you, Timothy, for the question. Actually, we do have another great question from Jacques. How effective is an ebook?
There is no right or wrong answer to that, Jacques. I'm going to say it's about as effective as a paperback to those people who enjoy ebooks. Let me break that down. I can't read on my phone. I can't read on it. I'm in front of the computer so much in the course of a day anyway, that for me to read for enjoyment on a screen, I just can't do it. But I am also a little different than most, which is why knowing your client and having both forms is really important. I will only read paperback if it's fiction. When I read my nonfiction, I listen to it on Audible when I'm out walking or meditating or exercising, because I just feel I get a much better experience that way. Now, audiobook creation can get a little more expensive on top of everything else. Good ghostwriter, we do paperback and ebook all included. So you're going to get both formats anyway. It's really just a matter of making sure that your marketing strategy is tailored the right way, right? So quick example off the top of my head, you probably wouldn't have the same success emailing a free ebook to your high value target as you would mailing them the paperback, because they're going to be wary of opening an attachment from someone they don't know, clicking a link. The book is much more personal and effective. Now, if you're looking to do a digital outreach or a digital funnel, as I mentioned in one of the strategies, then yeah, your ebook is going to be the way to go, whether that be a Kindle version or if you just have a PDF available for download on your website. That's where you would have much more success using your ebook than your paperback.
The next question, is it helpful to have a print and an ebook at the same time?
In a perfect world, you would have all three versions. You would have the paperback, the ebook, and the audiobook. Again, just like everyone learns different, you've got your auditory learner, your tactile learner, your visual learner. People absorb content differently. So if your business book is only in an ebook, you have now ruled out someone with my psychographic profile from ever reading it, because I just don't read ebooks. If your book is only available in audiobook and someone doesn't want to pay for an audiobook subscription on top of your book, you've ruled that person out. So I would say in a perfect world, if you could only choose two of the three, you should always have the paperback and the ebook. But I personally see no benefit from only having an ebook or only having a paperback, unless your ebook is like 20 pages. If your book is anything less than 80 pages, please don't put it out in paperback. It looks like a pamphlet.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That tackled it. Here's a silly question for you, Matt. Is there really a necessity to have a paperback and a hardcover?
No.
Okay. So, because you often still see both options. Why would people have both?
I'm going to give you my opinion on this subject. I've got two opinions. One, and if anyone else knows anything about the publishing industry and wants to chime in, please feel free to correct me or elaborate. But generally, I find traditional publishers love hardcovers because it increases their margins. And authors tend to like a hardcover for vanity. It feels like, oh, look, I've got a hardcover book. But in reality, it costs more to generate a hardcover book. It costs more to print a hardcover book. And people are going to get the exact same content they'd get out of the paperback. So, if you're going to, maybe the rare exception is, let's say you landed a book signing at, I don't know, Times Square Barnes and Nobles or London Barnes and Nobles, and you want to show up with 20, 30 copies of your hardcover, I'm not against that. But I don't think that, making that available for mass consumption is going to help you over having a paperback.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. Matt, thank you so very much. I certainly found that incredibly, incredibly insightful. And so thanks, folks, for joining. And one last question and comment, Matt, is if people want to reach out to you to get some help with writing a book or some coaching or whatever, how would they go about doing that?
Two best ways. You can either head directly over to my website, www.penforhirenyc.com. Also, you can just scan the QR code in my virtual background. It'll bring you right to all of my contact information. Or you can directly email me, Matt, M-A-T-T, at penforhirenyc.com.
Folks, thank you very much for joining. We hope that you were able to take away some guidance, some inspiration, and some know-how on why you should write a book and how it will be beneficial to your business and what you can actually do with it. So thank you all very much for your time, and we look forward to you joining on our next webinar.